Bottle pop, truth drop, welcome to the show. Champagne secrets, let your power grow. Every video, spark, ignite your inner light. Raise a glass to the future, shining bright. Empowerment is the code we decode. Unravel mysteries, life's own secret load. Step by step, tap in, find your flow. With champagne secrets, you're gonna glow.
Unlock the strength within you, watch it bloom. Life's a canvas, painted every room. Through ups and downs, cheers to what's next. Champagne secrets, life's complex. To the show, champagne secrets, let your power grow. Every video, spark, ignite your inner light. Raise a glass to the future, shining bright. Empowerment is the code we decode. Unravel mysteries, life's own secret load. Step by step, tap in, find your flow. With champagne secrets, you're gonna glow. Unlock the strength within you, watch it bloom. Life's a canvas, painted every room. Through ups and downs, cheers to what's next. Champagne secrets, life's complex.
For a second and let's talk. Yo, DJ, roll that beautiful champagne footage.
Confidants, what is your profession? See my friend, nothing but soldiers and empowerment over here.
Pop that cork, let it rain, living lavish, no restraint.
Champagne gang and visitors to the Champagne City, welcome to Champagne Studios. Now, before you get too comfy, let's set the tone because we have some house rules, aka the Champagne Code, because in this lounge, we have standards, baby. Rule number 1, sip before you spill, think before you comment. We love a little razzle dazzle, but reckless mouths don't get refills. Rule number 2, don't come for nobody unless you got receipts and a clean record. Tea is fine. Hypocrisy? Nah. If your own glass is dirty, don't try to toast over here. Rule number 3, say it with your chest, then back it up with a fact. We love opinions, but we love well-seasoned commentary even more. Don't bring unsalted tea to a gourmet table. Rule number 4, this ain't no back alley gossip lounge. We serve truth on platinum trays. If you're here for fluff, go find a pillow. We get into it deep, grown, and glam. Rule number 5, this is a judgment-free zone, but ignorance will get clocked. Come as you are, but don't come uninformed. We grow, we glow, and we check each other with love. Clock that. And last but certainly not least, no crusty vibes in this crystal lounge. If your energy's expired, your pass is revoked. We keep it cute, crisp, and champagne fresh around here. And remember, my loves, the rules aren't just for play. They're the velvet ropes that keep the vibes exclusive and the energy divine. So keep it cute, keep it classy, and never forget, you are it. And demure has never meant dull. Now let's enjoy the show. Champagne Gang, Fizz Fam, Confidants. Baby, welcome to the Champagne City. Y'all ready for the show? Come on in. Make sure you grab your favorite glass of bubbly. Say hi to a few people in the chat. And let's get ready to get into it. I am so glad that you decided to join me on today because there's a lot going on. Now, listen, y'all. We tried to do this show on yesterday, but see, what happened was because it's allergy season and we're still in our rainy season where we live at, um, my allergies been going a little nuts and haywire. I've been feeling little coughs. I call them cockatoos. That's what I mean when you hear me say a little cockatoo in my throat. Be feeling little coughs, when your chest get like real itchy and you got to cough to get it out. But I know it's my allergies just flaring up, and I can't wait till they flare back down because this irritates. So, halfway through the show on last night, I had a whole cough fit and could not release it. So I said I had to end the show and decided, you know what, we just gonna rerun it again today. So we have a good show for you today. Excuse me, make sure your glasses are filled to the rim. Mine is. I have a drink on one side and tea on the other side. So whichever way the moment, should I say, pushes me, that's what we're gonna do. Welcome to everyone who's in the chat. Make sure you do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe, engage with me. I want to hear what you got to say as much as I want you to hear what I got to say. So if you ready, Champagne Gang, let's get ready to get into what we will be discussing on today. So, we're going to be discussing the devil in the Ozarks being recaptured and sent to Supermax prison. So we're going to go over a little bit about his previous arrest, what ended him up in prison in the first place, which was a unaliving as well as a R word. Of a teacher in a school who was trying to get some lesson plans done. So we're going to get into those. We're also going to get into some of the story that we played the other day of the young lady who CPS was in the hospital to take her third child away from her. Excuse me. And she wasn't going. She wasn't letting her baby go. And I just have a question for everyone who watched it. It did premiere on our other channel, Champagne Secrets Reacts. Make sure you go over there and give it a like and subscribe. We do cover a lot of TikTok story times, X-Files, those are over there. We also do some Champagne Shenanigans. That's our prank wars, where we do prank compilation videos. We do that over there as well as some other things that are going to be coming to Champagne Secrets Reacts. Give me 1 second. So make sure you go over there and subscribe. We did rerun the video of the young lady in the hospital, as the first one that we ran seemed to be a bunch of repetitive clips of the same portion of the incident. So I went and found a video that has the full encounter on it. And I posted that, and it does repeat itself. So it's a 2-hour video, about an hour each, but the encounter just repeats because I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to really have a conversation about it in the comment section. So please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. We're going to be talking today. Do you think CPS went too far in this situation with her? 1 second. Excuse me. Or do you think there is the potential chance that she could have been a danger to her baby? And we're going to look at some situations because, y'all, postpartum depression is a thing. Postpartum psychosis is a thing. So we're going to be discussing some of that today. And I want to know your thoughts as we go. So please make sure that you are commenting, that you are engaging, because I will be responding to your comments. So go ahead and engage.
And another thing that we're going to be checking out. So y'all, hold on, he got this one offline. So we're going to be watching these protests that are going on in LA right now. It is so much going on right now. So they're protesting ICE out in LA, and what started as a peaceful protest turned into Trump calling for the National Guard.
Rachel Scott was able to speak with him. We have some of that sound we'd like to listen to now.
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart. They spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard.
All right, those are strong words from the president. I believe the quote was, "They spit, we hit." I want to bring in Alex Stone right now, who is at our bureau in Los Angeles. Alex, I know you have been in touch with the Los Angeles Police Department, and I want to talk a little bit about how they feel about this. We know they told us they made some arrests last night, but they did not talk about being overwhelmed and needing federal help. And also, joining in the chorus there of saying we don't need the National Guard here is the governor of the state, Gavin Newsom.
That's right, Phil. Yeah, Gavin Newsom saying that he doesn't believe that this is necessary at this point, and Mayor Karen Bass saying the same thing, that they feel like local police could handle it. Now, here's the issue for local police, in that they are not allowed under California law and by the laws of LA and LA County to get involved in immigration enforcement. So at what point do they get involved? They've been coming in to clear out the streets in these images that you're seeing right now to protect lives and to make sure that nobody gets seriously injured or dies. But at what point does it become immigration enforcement? There's a very fine line there that they say that they're doing what they can do and that they are willing to come in and help out.
And Alex, I'm wondering, you have been in LA, you have seen protests before. Put this into context for our viewers, because we have been watching this since Friday. And yes, there were arrests, and yes, there's tear gas. But, you and I have covered far worse, just over the last 5 or 6 years in this country. So what have you seen on the streets there, and how would you put it into perspective?
This is definitely bigger than what we've seen in the last couple of years, but compared to the George Floyd protests of, 5, 6 years ago, those were much more widespread. Of course, nothing like what we saw in the 90s here in LA. This is a relatively small area that this is going on. It is the one area that you're seeing right now outside of the federal building in downtown LA. That is it. There is another march that is going on. There was down in the city of Paramount, maybe half an hour south of downtown. That was a protest yesterday. That was about a block or so. So these are really isolated areas. You can get this image that it is everywhere and all of LA is being impacted. Most of LA where you go, you wouldn't know anything is going on unless you're at these single blocks like what you're seeing right now.
All right, Alex, stand by. I want to bring John Cohen back into the conversation. John, I'm going to assume you heard the president's words. If you didn't, I'll just repeat them for you, not mincing any words. The president upset with the protesters, saying if they spit, we hit. Talking about specifically, officers getting spit on. He said that won't be tolerated. If they spit, we hit. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, while I realize the president was never a police officer or a deputy sheriff, what I can say is that as a former police officer, you are trained that you can only use the amount of force commensurate to the force used against you. So someone spitting on you does not justify the use of physical force, whether you hit somebody or hit them with your nightclub or apply physical force that's not commensurate. In these types of situations, the number one priority is to from law enforcement perspective is for it not to escalate. So those demonstrating who are seeking to cause an escalation and a confrontational interaction with law enforcement will throw things, they'll spit, they'll swear, they'll get up in people's faces. Professional law enforcement officers have been trained to ignore that and to only use force that's necessary.
John, anybody who has been paying attention to the political landscape over the last 10 years or so certainly knows how President Trump feels about protests in the sense of when a crowd interacts with law enforcement. At least, he spoke very openly about the BLM protests that Alex Stone mentioned. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. He has talked about using force on any number of occasions here on domestic soil. But I'm wondering, when does the president ordering the National Guard into a situation like this become an issue that is taken up politically in Washington?
Yeah, bringing the military into our communities should be the last resort. I mean, I was a police officer in the Los Angeles area when the Rodney King situation took place. And I had a good deal of friends I came to Washington, but a number of my friends were still on the job when the riots hit. And they portrayed to me a number of horror stories that occurred when active duty military personnel who were introduced into the area engaged in what I would call riot suppression activities. The bottom line is our military is one of the greatest in the world. It is the greatest in the world, but they're not trained to deal with demonstrations and even violent demonstrations that are occurring on U.S. territory in our communities. And so bringing Marines and active duty military into our cities to quell protests that the local officials say they have under control is a real overreach, and it could potentially escalate the situation into more violence. And the last thing we want are pictures like we saw in the 60s of active duty military personnel harming U.S. citizens.
Hey, John, you talk about de-escalation, which, you talk to any local law enforcement officers, and they're trained to do that. That's what anybody wants to do in a violent situation, really, is de-escalate it so nobody gets hurt. Is your fear that the introduction of the National Guard, specifically on top of the fact that the governor and the local police department, the LAPD, didn't ask for it, do you think this might bring people out that normally wouldn't have come out in the first place?
There's two concerns. One, that you're going to introduce into this environment people who aren't trained to deal with these types of situations of mass unrest, and they will overreact. I mean, I saw some videos earlier of a police officer that, quite frankly, had totally lost control and was running around in circles, beating people with his nightstick. I mean, you want, in these types of situations, which can be very volatile, very confrontational, you want people who are trained, you want people who are even-handed, you want people who know what to expect, you want people who are following command control, you want people in control of these situations and in command of these situations, who are communicating with others who are on scene and who are operating in a unified way. The second thing that concerns me is if you are doing a large-scale activation of the National Guard, you are pulling from police departments and fire departments and other, state and local officials, because those are the people who make up the majority of the National Guard. So on one hand, you may be introducing the National Guard because you think it's going to help stabilize the situation. On the other hand, you may be pulling resources out of the environment in which they could be applied to deal with these situations in an organized, cohesive, and professional manner.
All right, and John, as you stay with us, these are some pictures from KABC's Chopper a little earlier on, our station out in Los Angeles, earlier on as these protesters, were marching in the street. From these pictures, it looks relatively calm, and our Matt Gutman is in the middle of this crowd right now, and he says it looks pretty calm right now. I want to go to Alex Stone in our LA bureau. And Alex, if you will, for our viewers who are, tuning in and looking at this, take us back to Friday when this began. How did we get to the point where the president has called in the National Guard?
Yeah, so it was Friday morning, Phil, when we got word that there was immigration action that was underway. There really hasn't been a lot here in LA as we've seen it unfolding in other areas of the country. And that it started at an apparel company, ICE agents, Homeland Security Investigations, FBI, they moved in. There was a big crowd that started to form. And then they moved to another building and another building, another company and another company. And people began blocking them so they could not get out. And it escalated from there, bigger crowds showing up. They tried calling in the LAPD. The LAPD said, well, limited that we can do, that these are legal protests that the people are doing. And then it kept growing from there, and we got to where we are today.
And the president has made it pretty clear on any number of occasions he's not going to tolerate protesting in the street. So it's not really a surprise that this happened. However, he's now talking about the potential of sending active duty Marines in. What would that look like?
Well, I mean, it'd be a whole new ball game. Pete Hegseth floated that yesterday, and then it's been brought up by the Pentagon that is a possibility that active duty Marines would come in, something that we haven't seen in a very long time. Active duty military here in Southern California. And you would get into questions, and John Cohen can address this as well, but communication between the active duty Marines and other law enforcement, rules about engagement, what their roles would be, law enforcement, posse comitatus, and giving them law enforcement ability. Whole lot of questions. It would really, Phil, be ramping things up.
All right, and Alex, you mentioned John. Let's bring John back in and ask him that question. John, I'm being told the president is posting on social media that he has directed law enforcement to take all necessary action. Right now, that's the National Guard. As Alex just reported, Pete Hegseth has talked about potentially sending in active duty Marines. As you're watching this, and we have perspective that it's not all over LA, it's in certain places, and it looks like that. How do you think, where's the off-ramp? If the president is using this rhetoric and people are showing up in the streets, how does something like this dissipate?
It's going to fall upon the state and locals, particularly the Los Angeles Police Department, the LA County Sheriffs. What they'll try to do is they will try to contain these pockets of unrest. They'll try to communicate with the people who are organizing it. As Alex said, they're going to want to make sure that as they bring in other local organizations on a mutual aid perspective, there's good command and control. Alex raises a really important point, which is if the federal law enforcement and military personnel are operating out, independent of the state and locals, then there's going to be there are going to be communication issues. There's going to be a unified command issue. But the way this situation resolves itself is not by escalating confrontation, but by de-escalating confrontation, and that comes through communication, containment, and moving out of the scene the people who are causing the problems.
All right, John, thank you.
It's interesting that they talk about the Marines and dispatching the Marines. And it's really interesting, Progressive One, that you made this statement when you said the Marines, sheesh, because apparently that is exactly what's happened. So it looks like Trump has deployed the Marines into California to deal with the public civil unrest, as they would call it.
We do begin tonight with Los Angeles bracing tonight after sweeping immigration raids sparked protests and clashes tonight. A U.S. official now confirming to ABC News 700 Marines are now on their way to Los Angeles to join California's National Guard, which was deployed by the president, not that state's governor. Late this afternoon, a peaceful protest after the arrest of a union leader, but the city is bracing for nightfall. It was a far different scene over the weekend. Protesters setting up fireworks right there, police officers right nearby. A line of self-driving vehicles set on fire. Crowds shutting down the 101 freeway downtown. LAPD officers trying to move them off. The moment a U.S.-based correspondent from Australia reporting on the protests, you can see there she's hit by an officer's rubber bullet. President Trump going over the governor's head, sending the state's National Guard to the scene, and tonight he's now sending hundreds of these U.S. Marines. Our chief national correspondent, Matt Guppin.
And again, I say, what makes y'all think Trump care anything about what y'all want? This governor clearly told Trump, don't send in the National Guard, don't send in the Marines. We got it. We can handle it. We own this. Let them get this little energy out, whatever. We can handle it. Don't do too much. That's exactly what Trump did, because Trump doesn't care about what you think and what you think you can handle. Trump only cares about what he wants and what he wants to see. What he wants to see is ICE to be able to do their job and remove immigrants from wherever, whenever, and however, and not deal with any backlash because of it. And because the people want to stand up and backlash and protest, Trump's saying, since you can't handle it as the governor, why don't you step out the way and let me do it? Matter of fact, I don't even care if you want the Marines or the National Guard there. I'm going to do it anyway because I'm Trump. I'm the president. I got the ultimate say. I'm the highest authority of the land. Who going to whoop me, boo? Who going to check? Who going to stop me from doing what I want to do? But this y'all president. This who y'all voted for. Because he thinks in the best interest of the people, right? So you think it's in the best interest of the people to send the military. Well, they're out there acting like animals. They're throwing Molotov cocktails. Well, there's two sides to that coin, right? Because had Trump not deployed a bunch of individuals to go and snatch individuals out of their homes, uproot them from their families, and deport them to God knows where, there would be no need for the protest, which in turn caused what you see on the screen as we speak. But Trump doesn't care. He don't care. He cares about what he wants. And what he wants to see is all of this ended. Now, that's not to say that I'm saying I agree with what they're doing with throwing Molotov cocktails, with burning cars, because what does that solve? What? All you proved was that you could get the Marines dispatched. Which means the minute you act tough and do something dumb with the military, see, they're governed by a different set of rules. That's why the people don't want them loose on American soil. They're not governed by your law. They're governed by military law. They have a different court system they have to answer to. And guess who that court system is headed by? So who exactly do you think Trump is going to back in a situation? You think they're going to back you? And you defending the very individuals that he sent ICE there to get rid of? You think he going to back you? Or he going to back the military that he deployed to obtain order by any means necessary? Because I'm sure that's the order. You already heard the video. The man said if they spit, we hit. So I'm letting my military know it's okay if they spit at you for you to do whatever it is that you need to do. Come on, y'all. Do that sound like a peacemaker to you? You think Trump care about peace? Empress, I'm not with that. Hold on, let me get this comment up here. I'm not with that ripping down the community you call home. Find a way to be a better way, because the very community you have to turn around and kiss the ring, you know who to fix it. It's chess, not checkers. Absolutely, I agree with you. I don't agree with the tearing it down. I didn't agree with it when we was out there doing it, because at the end of the day, you tearing up stores that your community gonna need. Half the people in your community don't have a car. Some of the people in your community are elderly. These are the only places they have to be able to shop, to be able to get their needs. And you done tore down the neighborhood store. What they gonna have to do? Are y'all gonna use y'all cars to go shopping for the elderly after y'all destroy everything that's close to them that they can use? Are you gonna DoorDash their needs? But we see this way too often. Way too often. And somehow we think this is the answer to get in the street and show our ass. Burning up stuff. Molotov cocktails. What does it solve? Because at the same time, somewhere across town, there's an idiot. Excuse me. Give me 1 second. I told y'all that cockatoo. Hold on. Let me go offline for 2 seconds. Because at the same time, across town, baby, there's somebody right now who's fearing for their life. Life is in danger. And guess what? There's nobody available to go make sure they're okay. Or to stop an idiot with a gun in another neighborhood. Because you know why? They're down here dealing with idiots that are throwing rocks. Burning up a Tesla car. What exactly, how exactly does, even if it wasn't a Tesla, whatever it was, how exactly does burning up an electrical car help your plight? How does it help? What is it going to change? What is it going to fix? Is burning up that car going to stop ICE from coming in your town and taking who they want to take next? All they waiting on is this civil unrest to be done. And guess what? Trump gonna send them right back in there to do exactly what he told them to do in the first place. So what does this solve? Because if Trump comes back to the table, baby, it's a trick to it. If he gives in to your demands, I may have to rethink Trump. I'm just gonna put it like that. That's how much I believe he don't give a damn about y'all protests. So much so, he sent the military to come see about y'all.
Leading us off tonight on the scene in Los Angeles, Matt is one-on-one with Border Czar Tom Homan tonight.
Tonight, 700 Marines are on their way to the streets of Los Angeles to assist the National Guard and law enforcement tamp down violent clashes with protesters angry over the Trump administration's immigration policies and arrests. Over the past 72 hours, pockets of LA descending into chaos. Protesters setting cars on fire, dumping bikes and scooters on police cruisers on the highway. Law enforcement firing hundreds of flashbangs and non-lethal projectiles and making dozens of arrests. It got so heated in the streets that a British photographer needed emergency surgery after being struck by a non-lethal projectile.
Moving them on through the...
And there was this moment. Watch as a correspondent for 9 News Australia
You just shut the...
reporting on the protest when an officer hits her with a rubber pellet. And tonight, an escalating war of words.
We ain't just gonna speed past that like they ain't just say what they just said. I know y'all clearly saw that officer with that pellet gun, whatever kind of gun you want to call it, turn and aim at that woman and fire. You can't tell me he didn't know she was a news reporter and she holding a whole newscaster mic. Y'all, we can't make this stuff up. This can't be life. Like, I don't know which pill we in right now. At this point, I don't think it's red or blue. This one probably purple. Because what is going on? You think he gonna be arrested for assault? And if he is arrested, you think Trump gonna get him out? Because you know he handing out pardons like they handing out RICOs to rappers. You think he gonna stay there?
Words between California Governor Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump. Newsom suing the president for creating the conditions for this chaos when he sidestepped California officials to deploy thousands of National Guard troops.
Are you going to deploy Marines in California?
We hope to have the support of Gavin because Gavin's the big beneficiary as we straighten out his problems. I mean, his state is a mess.
Newsom then slammed by Trump and border czar Tom Homan for his response to the unrest. Homan initially suggesting the governor should be arrested, something Trump seemed to support just hours ago.
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job.
Newsom responding again, calling that an unmistakable step toward authoritarianism. I asked Homan about that.
If Gavin Newsom crosses whatever threshold it is and violates the law, do you have the authority to arrest him or
if he broke the laws like any other U.S. citizen, we'll ask the Attorney General to investigate and they'll prosecute. Tom Homan's not going to prosecute.
Spontaneous clashes began Friday as federal agents conducted multiple operations in and around Los Angeles. By Saturday, protests, mostly peaceful, grew larger when agents were seen staging in nearby Paramount, California. And by Sunday, a convoy of heavily armed and camouflaged troops arrived. We watched as the clashes intensified as the day progressed.
Just moments ago, there's some projectiles being thrown. Just moments ago, a motorcycle seemed to try to break through the police skirmish line. And now you can hear all those flashbangs going off. Police are trying to push those protesters back, firing those less than lethals at very close range. And you can see those projectiles being thrown over. Now that motorcycle is being hauled in here. Looks like he's being arrested.
LAPD's chief overnight saying they may need more help.
We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity and the type of things that they're doing.
And thousands today gathering peacefully, calling for the release of a prominent union leader arrested Friday during one of those workplace raids.
A lot of us are American citizens. So then what are we working for? What is the American dream? It doesn't even exist when you're picking people out of the street.
David, just want to give you a sense of where we are. This is the federal building in downtown Los Angeles, and there are probably a couple hundred peaceful protesters here outside. And you can see that line of federal agents to California National Guard. Right now, everything is peaceful. Beside, there are probably about 100 LAPD in riot gear. Homan telling me that he supports additional troops in downtown Los Angeles, but a short time ago, Governor Gavin Newsom tweeting that the presence of active duty Marines here in Los Angeles is un-American. David.
Matt Gutman leading us off on a Monday night. Matt, thank you.
They say she got that secret. It's in the bottle. Come take a sip. Come take a sip. Girl, it's confidence. And in the end, it's so uplifting. Come take a sip. Girl, it's confidence. Everybody.
My mic was off. Hold on. I absolutely agree with Progressive One when he said that we need to watch Death to 2025 when it comes out. It'll be amazing. Absolutely. Because if you haven't seen Death to 2020 and Death to 2021, baby, you need to. Because it's funny telling how we came through the pandemic and how the world responded to it and how we got attacked. And it's broken down in the most hilarious way. But we ain't been right since 2020. I don't know what happened. I don't. I don't know if it was them playing with the CERN. I don't know if it was them playing in the plague jar. I really don't know what the problem is, but we ain't been right since 2020. And now 2020 is 5 years older, and it seemed like we on the way straight to hell. I, it don't stop. It does not stop. What y'all think is going on? Drop in the comments and let me know, because this is crazy. But y'all, we're going to be keeping our eye on that. As you see, I got it scrolling above us so that we can kind of keep an eye on what's going on with these protests and the Marines being in LA, because baby, listen. But while we're keeping an eye on that, we're also going to be discussing the devil in the Ozarks. Now, if you don't know who the devil in the Ozarks is, his name is Grant Harding. And Grant escaped from a prison in Arkansas right around the same time that the 11 escaped from the prison in New Orleans. So it was the New Orleans escape with the, 10. We explained that it was actually 10. They reported 11, but the 11th individual didn't actually escape. He was moved to another area prior to the escape. My question is why? I still have a question about that. Out of everybody, why was he moved? That's my question. But this gentleman in his 50s escaped from prison. And this is the outfit that he used. Apparently, he was able to get one of the prison guard uniforms. I still don't have an explanation as to why. I'm going to be searching that out so that I can get an explanation as to how exactly this man was able to get a prison guard uniform. Also, what route did he take in order to escape that nobody knew? This ain't a worker. This is actually a criminal. He's an inmate. So, we're going to be doing a little history on him. But first, I want you to watch this video that discusses him being captured. The pictures that you see at the top, those are pictures of him when he was captured in the woods not too far from the prison. So I want you to check this out, where they go into the capture of the devil in the Ozarks, Mr. Harding.
Take a sip, girl, it's confidence, and in the end, it's so uplifting. Come take a sip, girl, it's confident. Every bottle got a secret, yeah. It's come take a sip, girl, it's confidence, and in the end, it's so uplifting. Come take a sip.
Okay, YouTube is glitching my entire stream. YouTube. Oh, Lord. Y'all know. Y'all know. All I can say is those who know. No. That's why I'm going to rerun them 2 stories that got YouTube messing with our lives and causing us to glitch. So hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can get this play again. 1 second. Now all of a sudden my stuff don't want to work.
We're fastly approaching the bottom of this hour. 3:30 here on the West Coast, 5:30 there in Arkansas. Live picture there in Eureka Springs, not too far from Gateway, Arkansas, where the manhunt has been going on for now almost 2 weeks for the convicted killer and rapist and former police chief himself, Grant Hardin. We are now learning, according to the Associated Press, he is back in custody. He has been recaptured. According to the Associated Press, they have it as follows, that a former police chief there and convicted killer, you see him, Grant Hardin, known as the Devil in the Ozarks, was captured only 1.5 miles northwest of the prison grounds by law enforcement officials after he escaped from the prison there, triggering a massive manhunt in the mountains of northern Arkansas. That's according to authorities in this announcement just today. Grant Hardin's identity was confirmed through fingerprinting. According to the county sheriff there, they said that in a Facebook post. I think we have that Facebook post. Now, Hardin, the former police chief in the small town of Gateway near the Arkansas-Missouri border, was serving lengthy sentences for murder and rape. He was also the subject of a TV documentary titled Devil in the Ozarks. So this is breaking news. We have been talking to our multimedia reporter, Chelsea Torres, for quite some time. She was down there throughout the kind of duration of the manhunt, talking with people, talking with survivalists who kind of know how some of these escaped inmates do this, how they get on, because it is quite rough there in the Ozarks. It's a very, elevated, cavernous territory, a lot of caves, a lot of good places to hide. And so this is what we're learning now, as this is breaking news. It's about 5:30 there in Arkansas. And the Izard County Sheriff's Office says in this Facebook post, and I want to put it up here, that Grant Hardin, the Devil in the Ozarks, has been captured. Take a look at this. This is on Facebook. You can see it there with his mugshot. 56 years of age, Caucasian male, approximately 6 feet tall, approximately 259 pounds. And you see there, emblazoned in red, bold lettering, captured. The Arkansas Department of Corrections has it. So in the meantime, if we do have any of these updates from actual corrections officials on camera, hopefully we'll get that a little bit later on, but there you see it. The Arkansas Department of Correction issued that at the outset of the manhunt and the search. Now remember, we brought you the news yesterday that authorities were requesting the assistance of what's known as a BORTAC team. That's a Border Patrol tactical team. It was providing, quote, advanced search capabilities and operational support in the hunt for Hardin. That was according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection at the time. Now, its members are experienced in navigating complex terrain, the agency said. The Ozark Mountains region, like I said, is known for its rocky and rugged landscape, thick forests, and an extensive cave network. So, like I said, we do not know the details, the extent of how this all went down. All we know is Grant Hardin, the Devil in the Ozarks, he is recaptured. He is back into custody. As far as how they did it, we don't know those details just yet. But what's so interesting, I was asking some of our reporters, do authorities still believe he's alive or do they believe he's dead? I was asking whether or not authorities believed he may have fled the state, whether he was much further away from the actual prison from which he escaped. We are now learning he was captured only 1.5 miles away from the correctional facility. Now, searchers have been using bloodhounds, officers on horseback, drones, and helicopters in their hunt for Hardin since he escaped nearly 2 weeks ago. He escaped May the 25th. It's now June 6th. You do the math there. That's about 2 weeks on the run. A former police chief in the small town of Gateway near the Arkansas-Missouri border, Hardin had been held at the Calico Rock prison since 2017 after pleading guilty to first-degree murder in a fatal shooting for which he was serving a 30-year sentence. Now, Hardin's DNA was matched to the 1997 rape of a teacher at an elementary school in Rogers, which is north of Fayetteville. He was sentenced to 50 years for that crime. Eventually, his notoriety led to a TV documentary devil in the Ozarks. Now, we've been relying on the Arkansas Department of Corrections, their spokesman, his name, Rand Champion. He said someone should have checked Hardin's identity before he was allowed to leave, describing the lack of verification as a quote-unquote lapse that is being investigated. Now, remember, he was wearing some type of prison employee uniform. That is how he evaded detection, and that is how he essentially walked out of the prison undetected. There's an internal investigation into that very concept of how he did it, how he pulled it off. So this is breaking news right now. I want to put this back up yet again here. This is yet another element in how we're telling this story. You see there, they say this, the Izard County Sheriff's Office escapee Grant Hardin was captured this afternoon, approximately 1.5 miles west of the prison grounds by law enforcement officials, and his identity was confirmed by fingerprint analysis prior to this announcement notifying the public. So they used fingerprint analysis to make sure it was actually him, and back out live there to Eureka Springs. So what a really kind of anticlimactic conclusion to all of this. I know the community there, it's a town, Gateway, about 600 people. You're looking at a live picture there of Eureka Springs, about 30 minutes away. They were on edge. They kept describing that this is a really bad guy, and I hope he can be brought back into custody, which has now taken place there. So many elements to this story. If we do get any updates on camera live, we'll make sure to bring it to you. But let's step away from this. Still so much more to get to this hour. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks for being with us. Hope you're getting a good start to your weekend. Like I said, though, we'll see you after the break.
So y'all listen, he's been recaptured. Not only was he recaptured, but he was sent to a super max. They said they wasn't taking no chances with him getting back out and terrorizing the community, with them even trying to figure out where he is. This is someone with police background. You see what he did? He went underground. He went and hid in the woods to try to get away. It's what we was trying to tell Mr. Antoine Massey the other day, that when you escape from prison, baby, you supposed to go underground. You supposed to go silent, not be heard. You know, like Mr. Hardin disappeared. He just didn't go far enough away because he stayed close to the prison. Dogs found him. Antoine wants to be all on videos professing his innocence. He wants to leave digital footprints for people to follow the yellow brick road right to him. He the wizard behind the curtain, not even trying to hide. Meanwhile, Derek Groves somewhere sitting quiet, ain't said not one word. Catch me if you can is what Derek said. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with them going on the run. It's not what I'm saying. However, how is it that you decide to do all of this, but you don't think far enough about how not to get caught? Because you do realize when you get caught, you're going to serve extra time for running. Don't cross the gun line, boss. Y'all heard the movie. Y'all saw the movie. But check out this story about him being held in Supermax now.
First tonight, prison escapee Grant Hardin is now in custody after a nearly 2-week-long manhunt. These are new pictures we were getting from the Arkansas Border Patrol as Hardin was captured. Hardin was located this afternoon near Moccasin Creek in Izard County by Arkansas law enforcement and U.S. Border Patrol after tracking dogs picked up on his scent. And new at 10, we're learning from Rand Champion from the Department of Corrections that Hardin will now be housed at the Varner Unit, the most secure facility in the Arkansas prison system. It's also where death row inmates are held. Good evening and thank you for joining us. For your 5 News at 10, I'm Morgan Wrigley. Darren has the night off. We're continuing to follow the latest as the Stone County Sheriff's Office says that the public is, quote, no longer in danger. 5 News reporter Parker Abels is here right now with more on the capture. And what are you learning tonight, Parker?
Well, Morgan, Grant Hardin was found today at 3:45 just outside a mile of North Central Unit in Calico Rock. And with Hardin officially back in custody, I broke down what the last couple weeks has been like. On May 25th, the Devil and the Ozarks escaped from North Central Unit Prison in the middle of the day by using a makeshift police uniform and walking out the front gate. That according to the Arkansas Department of Corrections. And from there, the search began. For nearly 2 intense weeks, a massive manhunt unfolded with local, state, and federal agencies, including the U.S. Marshals and Border Patrol, mobilized to bring him in. Tips and possible sightings poured in from multiple counties, even spilling across state lines, adding to the urgency of the case. Since busting out of prison, Hardin racked up new charges: escape from Izard County and unlawful flight to avoid prosecution in the Eastern District of Arkansas. A combined $25,000 reward from the FBI and U.S. Marshals was on the table for any information that led to his capture. But now that he's in custody, it remains a mystery who, if anyone, will claim it. The ADC said Hardin was finally tracked down near Moccasin Creek in Izard County thanks to the sharp noses of tracking dogs and the relentless efforts of the Arkansas law enforcement and U.S. Border Patrol. After his capture, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders said Arkansans can breathe a sigh of relief. The Izard County Sheriff's Department said Grant Hardin was found around 1.5 miles north of the prison he escaped from, and his identity has since been confirmed via fingerprinting. We sincerely appreciate the continued support of the community for all law enforcement and Department of Corrections personnel involved in this operation, said Izard County Sheriff's Office. And with Hardin back in custody, officials are now saying the threat to the public is finally gone. Parker Abels, 5 News.
So, the Devil in the Ozarks has been caught. Now, I'm going to be doing a full video on the Devil in the Ozarks and his cases, his crimes, because he was convicted of unaliving someone who was sitting in a vehicle, mind you, with no motive. There was no motive when he walked up to the vehicle that held his victim and shot them point blank range. And he was also convicted of R-wording a teacher who was in school just trying to prepare her lesson plan for the next day. So we will be doing a complete video on that, and you'll be able to see that on the Hennessy Zone once it is finished. So if you want to make sure that you catch that video, please go over to the Hennessy Zone, which is one of our other channels. You can find it in our VIP lounge on our home page of our channel. Subscribe over there so when we drop videos, you'll be able to be the first to be notified when they'll be premiering. What I do want to get into now, let me see. Yeah, let me go here. So, the other day we started off talking about this young lady here. And we was talking about her because we were doing a live watch party of a premiere that I had going on Champagne Secrets Reacts. And the premiere that we did, the videos that I found was actually, even though it had 10 parts, it was 10 parts almost of the same few clips, just repeating themselves. So I found a full collection of the entire encounter with CPS and the nurses and security at the hospital. And I posted it on Champagne Secrets Reacts. It actually went live today. There was a live premiere that started around 9 p.m., probably ended maybe 11 p.m. or a little bit after. But I wanted to discuss this more because I needed to ask the question. The question is, for those of you who have seen the video, seen the encounter, even if you only saw the clips that was posted on yesterday, do you think CPS was doing too much? Do you think CPS went too far? Or do you think there's the potentiality that this woman could be a harm and a danger to her child? Now, I know a lot of times because we're in this era where we want to be so girl code, and the girl is always right and protect females and protect women. Yes, we should be protected, but let's not pretend that there are not monsters out there. And I'm not saying this young lady is a monster. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there should be some diligence put to making sure before we send infants home with these parents that the parents are fit mentally and emotionally to make sure these babies are okay. We cover too many stories. Time and time again, we have a whole series called Monster Moms. Momsters, that's devoted to the horrendous things that these mothers are doing to these children. And to make it live for you a little bit more, I compiled 2 911 calls. Give me 1 second, y'all. I got a little cockatoo in my throat. So I compiled 2 911 calls for you. These are 2 young ladies who are known to have suffered with postpartum psychosis. Now, I had my first child in 1996. When I had my daughter, I knew there was a certain thing called postpartum depression, where after you give birth to a child, sometimes you slip into this depressed mode of maybe you don't feel a certain connection with your child, or maybe you feel like you won't be good enough for your child, or you know what I'm saying? I understood that. Within the last few years is when I learned about postpartum psychosis. And this is a lot of times where mothers have a complete disconnect, not only from themselves, but from their children. There's times they think their children are aliens. They think their children are not their children. Like their children have been invaded by the body snatchers, and women are really going through this. And a lot of times we don't see the signs, or a lot of times we don't step in and say something until it's too late and the baby is gone, or the baby has suffered and been abused. So I want us to listen to these calls, because even though you just want to be on her side, because I understand the pain. I understand. My grandbaby passed away. I had to watch my daughter give birth to her baby not breathing. Not breathing. My daughter was 7 months pregnant, 7.5 months pregnant, somewhere around there. So she had to give birth to her child. I cut the umbilical cord. I watched her hold her baby. They kept my daughter in the hospital for 3 days. All 3 days she was able to have her baby in the room with her. And I watched her face when she had to give up that baby for the last time and say goodbye to her baby, knowing her baby could not go home with her. Not only did I know how it made her feel, I know what I felt in the middle of that process. I get it. So I can just imagine what this mother is having to go through, having her child taken away from her. But we also have to remember this is one of 3 children. The first child died of SIDS, according to her, allegedly, because we haven't heard any other accounts. Apparently, the second child, after this baby died, she went and sought help from the hospital for mental health. And when she had her second child, I don't know what she told them. I don't know what she said to them that made them automatically take baby number 2 after she gave birth to baby number 2. So you have baby number 2 who is in state custody. She's saying the child is being abused in state custody. Now we have a third baby that the state is coming to take. Now, according to what they were saying in the hospital room with her, it was only a 96-hour hold. I don't understand. If you're putting a mother or a baby on a 96-hour hold, why couldn't you do that in a way where baby did not have to be disconnected from mom if your true intentions are to give baby back to mom? That don't make sense to me. So there's a lot of things that's missing from the story that we watched together. But in the meantime, I still want us to understand, before we go head first in, before we go hard in, before we make judgment calls, I need us to see the danger of having children around parents who are mentally unstable. Right? So take a listen Oh, and before I go there, excuse me, I did want to show you this updated post that she posted on her Facebook page. And if anyone wants to go check out of her Facebook page, it is Neek Nitty on Facebook. She does have a blue check. So her page has a blue check next to it. It's NIQ, and I believe it's a dot NITTY. If you put that in the search engine, you'll be able to get to her page. But she says, I know Asha's aunties and uncles want updates. I seen her today. She's currently with my family, one step closer to her being with me. But I just want to thank everyone for the support and the calls. Y'all, you truly made a difference. She has a bunch of hearts. Justice will be served for both of my daughters. So, again, I say, we don't know the full story. We don't know why the second daughter is still in Child Protective Services custody. We don't understand. We don't know why she still has an open case. But I would still have to ask, why? What should I say? Did she say to them when she lost that first baby that would make them so scared that every time she had a baby afterwards, they came and got her children? This is why you got to have confidence, baby. This is why you need to have people who you can talk to, who can walk you through those tough times, because now she might have just went to CPS to get somebody that she could vent to and get some stuff off her chest, and it inadvertently forced her into an open CPS case. What steps does she need to do in order to get her children back? Especially the daughter that's been in their custody for a while. So, if she gives any updates on her page, I definitely will keep you posted. But I do want you guys to listen to this.
Oh my God. San Antonio Fire, how can we help you? I need an ambulance at 351 Wayside Drive. 351 Wayside? Is it a house or an apartment? It's a house. It's an emergency. Okay. And what's going on? What's the emergency? I'm sorry? What's the emergency? What's going on? My sister has, she's her child. Hello? Hello? Tell me what's going on. Don't talk to the other people. Talk to me. My sister has, she's hurt her child. Seriously, hurt her child. How did she do that? What's going on with the child? The baby is dead. She has... What did you say? The baby is dead. How old is the baby? The baby's 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks old. 3 weeks old? Not even 3 weeks old, please. What did she do to him? Oh,
These 911 operators really stress me the hell out. Their insensitivity, no discernment. They don't know how to read the room. They don't know how to de-escalate situations. They clearly can't hear. Obviously, they need all new headsets. All 911 operators need new headsets because they clearly can't hear what people saying. Constantly asking the same questions over and over again, and you can clearly hear someone on the phone is in the middle of a crisis. Nothing in your head says, you know what? Let me turn on some empathy really quick so that I can get the information that I need, but I can make this person on the phone feel comfortable with calming down a little bit so that I can get the information that I need. What kind of training do these 911 operators go through? Because you're going to hear 2 different calls of insensitive ass 911 operators. And it is absolutely sickening to me.
She stabbed him. There's blood all over the bed. I don't know. All right, ma'am. Stay on the line. We're going to connect you up to the police, okay? Stay on the line. Yes, I'm here. All right. Go ahead. Ma'am, what is your name? My name is Priscilla Garcia. Where is your sister at? Just stay there, Auntie. Stay there. I'm sorry. Priscilla, where's your sister at? She's just sitting on the couch. She's gone crazy last night. She was hearing voices. She kept bringing me the baby, and finally she calmed down, and I took her back the baby. And then now I just woke up to her screaming. Okay, how old is the baby? Not even 3 weeks old. The baby's dead. The baby's dead. Please, somebody come. Okay, they're on their way, sweetie, okay? I need the keys so I can open the front door. Oh, my God. Ma'am? Yes. Do not touch the baby. Don't disturb anything in the area there, okay? Right? My mom was holding the baby. My mom was holding the baby. She wouldn't put the baby down. All right, ma'am. Everybody's on the way to help you, okay? Oh, I need to find the keys to the front door. No, Auntie, nobody's dead. It's okay, baby. Just stay right there. Is that your sister? Yes. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. You shot yourself? Yes. I just told you to come to me. You tell me that you died? I'm not dead, Auntie. I'm standing right here talking to you. Stella. Yes. Where did she stab herself? In the heart and in the stomach, she says. No. Where did you see it? I see it on her heart, yes. Your sister? I'm looking at her right now, yes. EMS? Okay. All right, they're on their way, okay? Oh, my God. Yeah, please.